Hi, this is Mantas from Venom Inc., back from the dead.
Hey, this is the Demolition Man from Venom Inc., and you're listening to Tinnitus Metal Radio.
Your 10-inch single War came out today. Can you tell us a bit more about it? It was probably 800 copies, and it has 3 songs.
Good God.
I mean, 10 inches of pure joy, pure pleasure. And I say that proudly holding my cock in my hand. It's 10 purely good inches. Yeah. Now, it's 3 songs on it? 3 songs, yeah. We have an extended version of War from the album. And then we have 2 live songs on the B-side, which is War and Warhead.
Armageddon edit.
The Armageddon edits, yeah. And Mantas handled all the production and stuff like that. And it kind of was the idea that people, when we went out to play the last tour after we released all of it, people were going, when's there going to be a live album? It was like, live album? We've only just done the studio album. But the live shows, you know, have a kind of energy that you can't quite explain, especially with us. It's a kind of punk meets metal. It's all about an energy release. So I guess people felt that and they wanted to keep that feeling with them. And so that's why they wanted something live. So we decided, well, let's do this as our theme. The track War was going down very well from the album. Of course, Warhead is a classic. So we thought, well, let's just stay with that theme and then produce that. So it's a kind of interim thing while we write a new album. But just something a bit of fun to give somebody some live stuff. And actually the live recordings were done in Fim in France. We played a festival there, Vouziers, and they pulled a live, and it was such a great. We thought, these are great. This is it. We'll put these on the other side. So, kind of again, with us, nothing is planned, you know. But that's what was wonderful in the early days. Yeah. You know, there was no strategy, there was just the next thing. And so we've kind of, that's how we are now. We don't plan anything, we just go, that's a great idea. And if everybody goes, yeah, that's a good idea, then we just do it. Yeah. And we do that on stage, with the set, with everything else. You know, Jeff recently had a heart attack, so...
Yeah, I was going to, you missed a couple of shows, I didn't know the reason.
Yeah, basically I died. No, I died.
You actually?
Yeah, I was dead. I mean, it was very sudden. It happened close to my village. I live in Portugal, and myself and my wife had went out, and we stopped in the other little village on the way into town, and that's when it happened. But the strange thing is, I've been having these pains for years now. And it's a northeast thing, it's a Newcastle thing, you know, you just don't do anything about it, you don't go to the doctors and all this. Yeah. It's my own fault, I suppose, but I've been in agony on stage sometimes with these chest pains and never knew what it was. I thought it was indigestion at first.
Yeah. Maybe ate something or something like that.
But then the big one hit, and yeah, I was dead for just over 5 minutes in the back of the ambulance. Doctor was called, emergency doctor was called, they came. They shot adrenaline direct. I mean, I didn't know any of this, but I was told afterwards they shot adrenaline into my heart, and then I was shocked with the paddles, and then I was rushed straight to a hospital where they tried to introduce a stent into the heart to open the valves. That was unsuccessful, so I was in 2 separate hospitals in the coronary intensive care for just under 3 weeks, and then I was transferred to Lisbon, and I've since had a double bypass. Yeah. So I was ripped open, breastbone broken, everything out. I was on the table for 6 hours, and this is actually the 11th week after the operation. So I get tired, and it still hurts. But you know, I'm trying to get by. I mean, I don't know how far. You know, we've got 2 shows in a row now. So that's going to be a bit of a test. I think a full tour, you know, like what we've been doing, 30 dates and stuff on a bus, I think that'll be out of the question at the moment. But you know, I'm trying. I'm getting back.
I can imagine that you all were scared about not being able to play music anymore, or perform in a.
That was the main thing, you know, a lot of pressure from people going, what are you going to do about these shows? What about these shows? And it was like, you know what, I mean, yeah, it's like, I don't know. You know, when so many of our peers were dying, look what just happened, Manila Road, after playing the show. So, you know, our contemporaries and our peers, friends of ours, and it always happens to someone else. So to happen to us was like, oh my God. And then that's what you think, is that it? And physically you can recover, but also mentally, you know. It's like I said to Jeff, it's like, you know, that you can go, but you look fit, and he is fit, and his diet was clean, which helped, and we were strong, but, you know, unless you died, how do you think about that? So that was the hard thing.
It was a hell of a weird experience. When I came out of hospital, I'd only been home for about 2 weeks, and then Nuclear Blast sent me an email and they wanted an interview, and I was like, oh, I can't do an interview at the moment. But it was with Götz Cunningham, and I've known Götz for years and years. He's been with Venom from the beginning, so I did this interview with him. And I was telling him about, you know, basically what happened in the back of the ambulance, and it was fucking weird. Yeah. And I still get flashbacks now to when it happened. I remember, my memory of it is distorted, but my wife told me that she sort of came to the side of the ambulance and she put her head in because they wouldn't allow anybody into the ambulance at all. She put her head in and she said, how are you feeling, how are you feeling? And I turned and I said, I think the pain's gone. Boom, that was it. Yeah. I was dead. Wow. I said those words and that was it. She said, you just, and that was it, you were gone. The doctor kicked the door shut, and that's when she said that the ambulance was just rocking. And there was two little old ladies, little Portuguese ladies, came across, and they grabbed a hold of my wife and kept a hold of her because she was hysterical, obviously. But I do remember, whether I said this or whether it was in my head, or I don't know, but I heard my own voice saying, fucking fight. Yeah. Don't you dare give up, fucking fight this. And then all of a sudden, boom, it was just like everything was bright and I was back. And I was looking around, and the doctor, the Portuguese doctor, he spoke English, but he was very direct. And all I seen was this face coming over the top of me, and it was the doctor, and he said, you died. And I was like, oh Jesus, you know, it was like, I mean, I say, oh Jesus, but I mean, there was no conversations with God, there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing. But I do remember feeling this, I don't know, it was like electricity all around me, and everything was just buzzing and shaking. And then that subsided, and I was lying flat, and I looked down, and in my lap, I can only describe it as a vortex. Wow. There was just something there, and I was staring at this thing, and it just got quicker and quicker, and then just disappeared. And at that point, I was freezing cold, so they threw one of these emergency blankets over me, and that was it, we were off. But very strange, and like Tony says, it's, you know, you can recover physically. I mean, this is still painful to touch, and it feels a bit weird, and they've had to cut through the nerves and everything, so this side of my chest's still quite numb. I can't really feel that. That'll all come back, but I don't care what you say. I've read some reports about other people, you know, in the industry, in the music industry, who have had these bypasses, and it's like, oh yes, you're all very heavy metal and you got out of bed and you did this. It's bullshit. Yeah. Let me tell you, this is a fucking scary experience. You know, when you wake up and you've got drains in you and wires and fucking everything, you know, it's like, you look like something out of Hellraiser. It's, wow. So,
it reminds me a bit, because last week I had an interview with Roger Miret from Agnostic Front, who also had, he had heart surgery as well a couple of weeks ago, and he also mentioned that it was very frightening, even if he didn't die, but the fact that, you know, that it's not working as it should work.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you know, we've had, you know, we're of an age, so we've lived quite a life, and lots of things have happened, traumatic things in your life and stuff, with family members and personal and stuff. But when I flew, because we'd spoke on Skype, and it was half an hour after I took off, I was still talking to America. He went to go to a chemist, he said. He looked fantastic. You know, he looked fantastic. And then his wife called my phone and was like, I said, oh, you know, his wife's calling, I just, hi. And she went, Jeff's just died, had a heart attack and died. I was like, what? She went, he's alive, but he died. And I was like, what? It was like, oh my God, your whole world goes like that. I booked a flight straight to Portugal the next morning, jumped on the flight and went. When I walked into the hospital and looked at his face, I'd never seen anybody look like that before. When he was looking at me, it was another dimension in his eyes, and then he wanted to try and explain what happened, but then didn't understand, and you're like, wow. It kind of gives you all your perspective on life, you know. Oh, I haven't paid this, so I got this parking ticket, or my neighbours are paying in the arse, or their cat shitting on my roses. All of that just goes, just disappears, and you go, wow, survive, just be alive. Yeah. You go, make sure you smell the flowers and feel the sun and drink, taste the, everything becomes different. And you're like, wow, oh my God, you know, so, yeah, quite an extraordinary thing. And you know, playing Finland was the first show. Again, all we could do is go, you know, when he goes and plays, you know, maybe he'll walk off stage and go, I can't do it. Maybe he'll come off and go, yes. I think it was important because I think the fans gave so much love and so appreciated what was going on. I think that fed him to go, yeah, you are here, and this is, you know, and so it was so important. But to look over on stage and have him with me was amazing. And I even went up to him at one point when he was playing a solo and went, oh my God, you're alive?
Jeremy Kling is replacing Abaddon on drums this tour, but that's for a more happy reason, I guess. That's because he had a baby with his wife.
Yes, I mean it's kind of become something else now. Okay. We toured the US, and then he was going to get married, and then we were setting up to play Asia, and then another European tour, and then he decided he wanted to take. She was going to have a baby, so he wanted to take March off. But at that point, we had the dates, so we could cancel them and delay them. But if we delayed them, we were due to go to America. So it was kind of, I'm not sure what we should be doing. And so the management said, well, we could use Jeremy because he was our sound guy in America. He also plays drums and he also knows. So I thought, oh, well, then that's okay. We do Asia, come back from Australia and New Zealand. Abaddon goes and does the baby thing. Jeremy sits in, we continue that tour, and then Abaddon comes back. But the whole thing went sideways. Abaddon went from saying, that's great with management, he didn't speak directly to me, said that was a great idea, to then we went and did it, and then he didn't like the idea. You know, I don't know. I guess it's a personal thing. So now it's a bit of a mess, you know. Okay. He's spending all his time being very negative about everything, and it's pulled us too far apart now. Okay. Too far apart, which is a shame.
How do you decide on how do you decide on a set list for a gig today? You have your own CD out last year, but you also have the older Venom stuff. Is it difficult? Or
it's very difficult.
You realise there's too many songs.
Oh, there's too many songs. I mean, you know,
that people want to hear.
Yeah, the songs that aren't even in the set tonight that, you know, we'd love to play, and the fans would probably love to hear them. And guaranteed, some fans will walk away and go, "Oh, they didn't play this, they didn't play that," and there's
some personal favorites of mine missing.
Oh, is there?
Yeah. I checked some of the set list, and I see normally Metal We Bleed and War. Yes. You seem to play those two. Yes. Sadly, no Forced in Hell. I Kneel to No God or The Evil Dead.
Yeah.
How come?
Bloodstained Earth. We managed to do Black and Roll. We added to the set, and we were going to have Evil Dead, and Forged in Hell was a requested one, so we started looking towards that. But then we have like 10 sets, and they all vary. And when we do something like this, the unfortunate thing about festivals, it's kind of where we try not to rely on the festivals. Why we do so many shows. Okay, you may play a club somewhere where there's a few hundred people, or you may play somewhere else where there's more. But the reason we do so many shows is because I want to play all the songs to everybody. And if we do a tour, we have an hour and a half, 2 hours we can play. Whereas today you've got switch over between bands, switch over between stages, 20 minutes to set up, and then you've got like 45 minutes, and you've got to stop there because that's going to start. So you're like, how do you put everything in there? So it kind of, we have to just pick out pieces, and it doesn't matter how many songs we put in. And I think we've probably covered in this span of the last 3 years, every song from black metal, every song from Welcome to Hell, start to move into War with Satan, and put all our new stuff in and stuff from Primeval. And every time we put something in, everybody complains, you didn't play all of these songs. It's like, it would take us 5 days to play all the songs.
I do understand that you have to put the old stuff, I know. But how do you perhaps... Yeah, why not The Evil Dead and why Metal We Bleed?
Well, I think it's just a case of practicality.
Is it the fan reaction, or is it because you like those songs even better, or you prefer playing them live?
I don't know. I mean, the fan reaction to Metal We Bleed and War has been great. You know, so hence they've been kept in. I mean, we did on the European tour. There was a couple of times where we played in these venues that actually had rehearsal rooms at the back, so we would go in and run through stuff, and it's you know, everything was sounding great, you know. But it's like we can't take that out because that's going down really well. We can't take that out. I mean, tonight there's no Countess Bathory, you know, and I mean, if we didn't play black metal and Witching Hour, we'd get lynched.
Probably.
Yeah.
You know, it's...
And in Finland, we were in Finland, piling through everything, and I turned around to talk to Jeremy and he went, 11 minutes, and I was looking at our songs going, what? He went, we've got 11 minutes. I went, oh, for fuck's sake. So we just went in as fast as we can and crammed in 3 in a row, and still kind of ran over. And stage manager said, if you run over, I've got to pull the plug. I went, okay. So it's like, you know, when we played New York, we played at Webster Hall. And when we went in there, the guy came in backstage and he went, Tony, you know, there's a strict curfew. I went, brilliant, okay. And he said, I don't know what that means. And he went, well, it's a hard curfew. I went, okay, I don't know what that means. And he went, well, it's a hard curfew. I went, no, I don't know what that means. He said, well, you know, you have to finish at this point. I said, what if we don't? He went, you have to. I said, okay, but if we didn't, you have to. I went, okay. So he said, so is that all right? I said, absolutely. So when we were going on, he said, so remember, you know, it's a hard curfew. I went, yes. He said, so you okay with that? I said, listen, we start and then we finish. I said, whatever else happens, I'm not in control of. Yeah. And we played straight through. We played another 40 minutes after the hard curfew, and they didn't unplug it. You know, and I wasn't doing it just to be a cock or anything like that. It's just a case of like, I didn't have my cock in my hand, no, but it was just...
Well, the cops pulled the plug in Turkey.
The cops did, yeah, the cops came.
We did a festival in Turkey and the cops pulled the plug.
They were just, we've had enough. And we did it in Legal Satan with just acoustic drums and no instruments with the crowd. And the cops were at the back going, no, you can't. And the crowd was just going, right. But I think that's the thing, I think we want to put everything in. I want to put all the B-sides in from those singles, things people haven't heard, and every song from the album we want to play. Preacher Man has been requested in America all the time, and we really want to put them in, but it's when you're limited on the set, we try and go right. So we added Black and Roll, we'll then Forged in Hell will be the next one out, so we'll try and add them slowly and build an alternative set as well. So, you know, I guess at the minute, catalogue-wise, we're holding, you know, probably about 3 or 4 hours of music. So we could sit down now, write a pen and do any set, you know. But there's a whole load of songs we haven't managed to get in as well. So ultimately, you want to know every song so you can play. If you turn up somewhere and you've got your set and someone goes, please play this, it means so much, you can just do it. And that's where I want to get us at, you know.
You now live in Portugal. I guess for recording music, it doesn't really matter where you're recording. But for writing music, I guess the music from Venom and Venom Inc. is more like a Newcastle thing, the vibe.
No, I'm psychotic, so it doesn't matter where I go.
And now he's a zombie as well, so man.
I'm a complete psychopath, so it doesn't matter where the hell I am. Music still comes out. Yeah.
Even in a small sunny village?
I live in the quietest village you can imagine, and at the bottom of my garden there's a huge 500-year-old barn, which is now the recording studio, and I go in there and that's what I do.
I have a small non-music related question. I was intrigued. I looked up some stuff for the interview. And actually, I have seen the movies, but I didn't notice. You had some. You worked on apparently Master and Commander. You had a small role after Venom. You apparently did something for Judge Dredd as well.
Yeah, I was in the one with Sylvester Stallone, the first one. Yeah. I work as a technician, so I'm an automotive engineer. So I work for the Royal Shakespeare Company, and then I was on tour with them. we were in India, and one of the cast got sick, and they didn't have any extra actors. So I turned up to work. I was doing the set and everything, and I was always quoting because I love Shakespeare. So I'd like sit backstage and say everybody's lines all the time. And I got to work, and they said, we have a problem. One of the actors is sick. We don't know what to do. And I was like, could we get an Indian actor because they love Shakespeare and probably know the piece? And they said, we were thinking you should do it. And I was like, oh, me? And they went, well, you know all the lines, you keep quoting them. And I went, okay, why not? So I went on as a bit of fun. And then after that tour completed, we finished in San Francisco, I returned to London. Several weeks later, the artistic director from the Young Vic called me, said, do you remember in India? And I was like, yeah, that was amazing. That was so much fun. And he said, yeah, we've got a similar problem. Would you do it again? And I was like, yeah. So I went and did a week for him. And then that was it. I thought, he offered me workshops, so I did a lot more Shakespeare. And then I got an agent, and the next thing I knew, I was on the set of Judge Dredd with Danny Cannon and Synergy, and it was like, this is crazy. And then I thought, okay, this is what I'll do. And I guess I did a lot of stuff for the BBC. I did some stage work, some musical stuff. And at the time I got a job working for Queen for their stage musical, running the automation department. And I got sent up to Park Lane to meet a director. So I went in and met this guy. I was in my work clothes and, in this really posh hotel, meeting this guy I didn't really know. And I was going, I haven't got very long. And he was going, okay, and we'll just do a bit to camera. I said, yeah, because I'm putting this thing in for Queen, so can we make it quick? And he's like, okay. So I do the whole thing and then I leave. My agent calls me and says, how'd it go? I said, I don't think it went very well because I'm too busy and stuff. But anyway, it was cool. He was a nice guy. Then I find out it was Peter Weir who just directed The Truman Show, Picnic at Hanging Rock, Gallipoli, and I was like, oh fuck. And I was telling him look, can you hurry up a bit because I don't know much time. And she went, okay. Anyway, he loved you, so you have to fly out. And I spent 5 months in Mexico doing the movie, which was amazing, And I did the second shot of the whole film, was just me and Russel Crowe, and I had to go into this soundstage, was like this. So I got in my costume in my little room, they came and got me, I wandered down, I walked into this soundstage with 1,000 people in there. I was thinking, what are all these people doing? They went, well, they're all the technicians and stuff. I was like, right, I thought there's just 2 of us in this scene. They went, yeah, but they all have to be here. And I'm like, okay. And they walked me in through the middle of all these people, and there's Russel Crowe and Peter Weir having a chat. So they went, they'd like to have a chat with you. And I was like, okay. So I walked up there, and they were going, hey, what do you think? And I was going, yes, I think that's a good idea. And then they go, well, I think this. What do you think? I go, I think that's a good idea. And I was thinking, I've got no idea what's happening.
Did Russel Crowe have any idea about your musical past now?
Well, he found out later, and he said to me, oh, you play music? Yeah, but it's shit because you play all that heavy metal stuff. I said, fucking hell, you're one to talk. Have you heard your music? So anyway, we just got on. He's just like a guy, and a basic guy, and he hired a Winnebago and all this equipment. So we had this Winnebago full of everything, and beer and couches and musical equipment. So after shooting, we'd all, whoever would go down there. Billy Boyd was in Lord of the Rings, he played. Paul Bettany used to be a busker, very good. So everybody had a little bit of musical talent. We used to jam all the time, It was amazing, really, really amazing fun, yeah.
Can you share one of the crazier stories of some of the things that happened on the road during all those years? Or are you keeping up for...
Well, I'm writing a book at the moment, so I'll keep it. So you know what it is though. What I will say is my memories of some of the crazier things are bad memories. Yeah, some of the stuff that happened, involving certain band members. It was just one in particular was the reason that I left the band. But I mean, we always had crazy fans. I mean, we had one thing that happened. The fan club used to be based at the manager's home address when he was still living at home with his parents, Eric. And Eric's since he's passed away, sadly. But I remember we used to get all the fan mail going to his place. This was in the sort of early mid-80s. And there was one day a package arrived, and so we used to get the letters and reply to the letters, and but this box arrived one day. And to cut a long story short, it was a fucking dog's head. with satanic emblems in the box and everything, right? And this is at his parents' house, you know. Opening the box in the living room, you know.
Oh, you've got a present to his mum.
His mum serving tea and everything. Oh,
yeah.
God, yeah. So we had a few things like that. We actually had a letter from the Satanic Church. You know, we had a few weird things happen in the early days, but yeah.
When we started this, we had strange things when we were recording.
Yeah.
A couple of recordings. This one in particular was an outro to a song, and we were just in there playing it a million times, you know, just refining it because Jeff was producing and stuff. And then this voice came from nowhere, didn't it? And it was like, did you hear that? It was like, yeah. We played it back. There was the voice again. It's on the song. It just came onto the song. It's not a tonal thing. Went through all the graphics and everything, going, where is it? It's on a track. Not on any track, and it wasn't there when we did it. It just migrated in there. Your flesh deep inside. Your flesh.